I found the secret to getting the kids quiet. just keep doing the beginning of a video. Just
Hello.
no, that is me. You don't get to take that.
Hello.
This whole thing was a test. Hello, everybody. It's me, Mr. Steve. We have another Raising Little Leaders story time. Very excited. We got Jaden here. We got Max, Ellie. It's right there. Say hi, Eleanor. We also have Mr. Steve, who is once again unavailable to be in the video. He almost picked my nose. That would have been weird.
Don't pick your nose, kids. Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
And watch out for the coronavirus.
Yes.
Don't touch anyone.
Don't touch anyone. Don't touch anyone.
That's good advice. Don't touch anybody.
Really happy that Eleanor doesn't have diapers, and it's like, you're on your own. I'm not touching any of that. So, story time. A lot of fun. Kids, if you want to get into the ball pit, that's fine. Just put on your hazmat suits, okay? We're going to be reading some books. I've got a costume. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. Yeah!
There's a few articles of trash among the chairs in the comm studio. So if we can clean up there's like a rubber band.
We are here in one of the studios of Loveworks. And this is the Kind studio, and they've got these buckets here for kids to play with. And each bucket has a different toy. There's one over there with Hot Wheels pieces, and that one has little tiny animals. And this one here has Duplos. And check out the different Duplos that they have here. Oh, look at that. Thomas, the tank engine, from the classic Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, Starlight Express. There's a doggy with spots. That's Justin Bieber. That's pretty cool. And check it out. Look who they've got in here. They've got a popular Disney character. What? That's Rip Slinger, the champion of the Wings Around the Globe racing competition. He is a legend in the racing world. That is, until Dusty Crophopper shows up. This is, of course, before Dusty gets an injury and becomes a fireplane. I had to look all of this up on Wikipedia. Look, it's a character from Disney's most popular movie, Planes. I couldn't even say that with a straight face.
Ready. Something's going on.
Dude, check these out, huh? Raising Little Leaders Storytime featuring Mr. Steve. That's me. Bring your little leaders from infant to 10 years old for an unforgettable Storytime interactive activity and to see what's inside Mr. Steve's famous treasure box. Very famous. Very famous. I love these. There you go. Today we're going to be reading a lot of stories. Beautiful Oops, Killers of the Flower Moon, and this book here, The Big Orange Splot. And I promise that I will not be making any Donald Trump jokes. It's going to be difficult, but I think I can do it. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Mr. Steve. We're going to read this book. It's called The Big Orange Splot. Oh yeah, I'm dressed as Captain America. You know why? Thor's hammer, yeah. Do you know why I'm dressed as Captain America? It's kind of obvious why I'm dressed as Captain America. You know why I'm dressed as Captain America? We're reading The Big Orange Splot. I'm dressed as Captain America. You guys get it, right? Okay. Let me explain it to you. Hold on. Wait, why am I dressed as Captain America? It made more sense this morning, but I had no coffee. I have no idea why I'm dressed as Captain America, but I've got a mask. You want to see? This makes me really like it.
Do you want to get a lease real quick? Or why don't you go get a lease? She's going to
No.
I am Captain America.
Why don't you go?
No, that's not how it is. That's a Batman mask.
Okay. So we're going to read this book. It's called The Big Orange Splot. I'll get to it eventually. The Big Orange Splot. We're going to read this. Okay. The Big Orange Splot. This is written by a guy named Manus, Pinkwater. He wrote this really weird book that I was obsessed with when I was in 5th grade about this kid, and he's all home alone while his parents are gone for a week. He stays home alone, and he turns on the TV at like 1 a.m., and he finds a channel of just lizards playing music, and like I became obsessed with this book, and it was the only book that I would read over and over again. And no, it's absolutely true. It was written by Manus, Pinkwater. I was obsessed with this book. No, it was an actual long book. It was an actual, the first ever book I actually read was the book by this dude. Mr. Plumbean lived on a street where all the houses were the same. Or maybe his name is Plumbean. I don't know how he pronounces it, but let's just call it Plumbean. He liked it that way. See, all the houses are the same. There's nothing different there, you know. So, he liked it that way. So did everybody else on Mr. Plumbean Street. This is a neat street, they would say. Then one day, a seagull flew over Mr. Plumbean's house. He was carrying a can of bright orange paint. No one knows why. Okay? And he dropped the can. No one knows why. Right over Mr. Plumbean's house. No one knows why. And then Mr. Steve turned the page. No one knows why. It made a big orange splot on Mr. Plumbean's house. The end. You know what I like about that book? It's short. It's to the point. Oh wait, there's more. Okay, there's more. Ooh, too bad, everyone said. Mr. Plumbean will have to paint his house again. I suppose I will, said Mr. Plumbean. But he didn't paint his house right away. He had things to do. Maybe he just didn't feel like it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it didn't spark joy, you know? So he looked at the big orange splot for a long time, then he went about his business. The neighbors got tired of seeing that big orange splot. Somebody said, Mr. Plumbean, we wish we'd get around to painting your house. Yes? I do have more books, yeah. Okay, said Mr. Plumbean. He got some blue paint and some white paint, and that night he got busy. He painted at night because it was cooler. When the paint was gone, the roof was blue, the walls were white, and the big orange splot was still there. Then he got some more paint, and he got red paint, and yellow paint, and green paint, and purple paint. In the morning, all the other people on the street came out of their houses, and their houses were all the same. But Mr. Plumbean's house was like a rainbow. It was like a jungle. It was like an explosion. Look at that house. And that's how Factory Obscura was born. Okay, see. Oh, wait. No, never mind. There was the big orange splot, and there were little orange splots. There were stripes. There were pictures of elephants and lions and pretty girls and steam shovels. The people said, Plumbean has popped his cork, flipped his wig, blown his stack, and dropped his stopper. What a real Donnybrook this is. The real story is not Mr. Plumbean making his house. The real story is, why does the neighborhood talk like this? Ooh, by cracky, Mr. Plumbean has flooped his shoe. That day, Mr. Plumbean bought carpenter's tools. That night, he built a tower on top of his roof, and he painted a clock on the tower. The next day, the people said, Plumbean has gushed his mush, lost his marbles, and slipped his hawser. The whole neighborhood's speaking in tongues, but that's not the story. Let's focus on the house that looks different. They decided they would pretend not to notice. That very night, Mr. Plumbean got a truck full of green things. He planted palm trees, baobabs, thorn brush bushes, onions, and frangipani. Oh, well, you can just get that at the frangipani store, you know? But go to the one on 5th. Don't go to the one on 9th. Those people are rude. Go to the other frangipani store, okay? In the morning, he bought a hammock and an alligator. When the other people came out of their houses, they saw Mr. Plumbean swinging in a hammock between two palm trees. And they saw an alligator lying in the grass. And Mr. Plumbean was drinking lemonade. He's living his best life. That's what he's doing, okay? Plumbean has gone too far. This used to be a neat street. Where in the world can you buy an alligator at 1 in the afternoon?
It's a Kyle.
Plumbean, what have you done to your house, by cracky? The house is me and I am it. My house is where I like to be and it looks like all my dreams. The people went away. They asked the man who lived next door to Mr. Plumbean to go and have a talk with him. Like, hey, you're Plumbean's neighbor. You go talk with him. Because we've tried to talk to him. We don't understand what he's saying, so you go have a talk with him. Tell him that we all liked it. We liked the whole neighborhood before he changed his house. Tell him that this house has to be the same as ours so we can have a neat street. Yes? When I moved, you saw my hair was green? Oh yeah, I can change my hair color at will. I'm like a Harry Potter character. The man went to see Mr. Plumbean that evening. They sat under the palm trees drinking lemonade and talking all night long. Meanwhile, the alligator is just rolling around on its back, so that's neat. Oh, that's one of those mushroom trees where mushrooms grow in the tree. The mushroom. Then what is wrong with those apples? Those are some weird looking apples. Ugh. Don't eat those apples.
It hasn't fully grown yet.
It hasn't fully grown yet. Okay, when apples grow, they're like. Early the next morning. And it's one of those mustache moves. You know? It's a waxing mustache is the name of that move there. I caught the neighbor red-handed. See? Because his hand is red. That was called a pun or a poon. Early the next morning, the man went out to get... Gotcha. Early the next morning, the man went out to get lumber and rope and nails and paint. When the people came out of their house, they saw a red and yellow ship next door to the house of Mr. Plumbean. What have you done to your house? They shouted at the man. My house is me and I am it. My house is where I like to be and it looks like all my dreams, said the man who had always loved ships. He's just like Mr. Plumbean, the people said. He's got bees in his bonnet, bats in his belfry, and nuts in his noodle. No, not like this. Then, one by one, they went to see Mr. Plumbean late at night. They would sit under the palm trees and drink lemonade and talk about their dreams. And whenever anybody visited Mr. Plumbean's house, the very next day, that person would set about changing his own house to fit his dreams. Cough, cough, cold, cough, cough. Look at that. That house is now a balloon. And then this house is the Taj Mahal. This house is a castle made out of candy corn. That's very cool. And wow, this person always dreamed of living in a bank. Oh, incredible. Wow. I'd be a bit weirded out if someone made their house to have, like, me on it. That's Mr. Plumbean. Why'd you put Mr. Plumbean? You know what? Whatever. Whenever a stranger came to the street of Mr. Plumbean and his neighbors, the stranger would say, "This is not a neat street." Then all the people would say, "Our street is us and we are it. Our street is where we like to be and it looks like all our dreams." And that's the end of that story. Yay! And look, kids, the point of the story is that you can have your house look like however you want, you know? If you want it to look like a castle, okay, there you go. If you want to dress up as Captain America for no reason whatsoever, hey, that's fine.
I think if I had a house, I would definitely put a whole bunch of like cats and dogs, and maybe like a whole rainbow, maybe some music notes, a whole bunch of books, maybe. I think that's what my house would be.
Sorry.
If you guys had a house and you guys could paint it just like that one, what would you guys paint it as? Oh. What about you, Nathan? What would you paint your house as?
Probably like a giant lizard.
Ooh, I love animals. Yeah, what would you paint your house as?
Be nice.
Be nice. I love that. That was one of our first books, actually. What about you?
A jungle.
Ooh, nature. All right, last one. What do you think?
A tree house.
I like that last one.
Monkeys.
Ooh, more animals in nature. All right, I'd love to see what yours are, but I get to see them in person because you guys have the opportunity to paint houses of your own, literally. So, in the next door, not right now, but
Swapped his wangle.
that book was very creative, I gotta say. But you guys have 10 minutes. You guys have little bird houses that you guys get to paint with paint in the cafe.
I like yours.
Mine is still in the work of painting.
You got a very Slytherin house going there, Jaden.
I'm a good one.
I like it.
Whenever that bird hops in,
Nice. Like what you got so far?
she's making lots
Yeah.
of fox.
My boathouse.
Hi. Very nice. Dude, your house is awesome. That's a very cool house. You guys all have such great houses. I like your house. This is my house. I like it. They're going into Steve.
However, I want to encourage you guys this year is that you guys can take your vision for your passions and your dreams and you guys can kind of put it into action. And so even if you think, exactly, even if you think you made a mistake, is that you guys can continue to grow from it. And so you guys are going to be making some glasses like these.
Oh, you used all of your stickers on your glasses. I like that. That is cool. Shiny glasses. Very feathery glasses.
I'm bored. Superhero stickers.
Okay, I'll see what I can do for you. Everybody is working really hard making Elton John glasses, and I really like that. Rocket Man was a weird movie, but I'm glad you're all getting into the spirit. Oh, Elton John would be so proud of you. Pop it! I want a sticker. Well, that's it for another Raising Little Leaders this week. That was exciting. Did you guys like that? I had fun. We did so many activities and we read books and I got to wear one of my favorite costumes. Hope you enjoyed that. Be sure and like and subscribe and all those things I'm supposed to say because I'm a YouTuber. Hit that notification button if you feel like it. You don't have to. My hair looks great right now. I have great hair for my age. See you later, guys. Bye.